Shrink the Nation is a podcast for thoughtful, informed adults, preferably with a pour in hand. The views and opinions expressed on the show are those of the hosts and guests only, and do not reflect the views of any employers, institutions, licensing boards, government agencies, bourbon distilleries, or family members, especially our family members. They've asked us to be very clear about that. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing said here should be taken as medical, psychiatric, legal, or professional advice. If you're in crisis, call a professional. If you're mad at something we said, we suggest journaling or emailing us with civility. We're here to challenge ideas, not diagnose strangers. We're clinicians, not your clinicians. And we have the bourbon to prove it. Let's go. All right, we're back for episode 0.5, version 2.0 of Shrink the Nation, right? We've rebranded. We have a new name, hopefully the last name, but we like it. Pre-launch test episode. I like it. It works now. I think a little bit more inclusive to what we're doing.
I agree. I agree entirely.
Much more fun. Awesome. Well, I'm David. We have 3 psychiatrists now. Super exciting. We're going to bounce ideas. We are going to have a few bourbons, country and chaos. We're going to talk. We're going to dissect. We're going to come uncomfortably close to the Goldwater rule, but not cross it, not violate it, not get anybody in trouble. That's the goal. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to make fun of each other. Nobody else. Those are the ground rules, right? We're going to have fun. I'm David. I am the tech guy. I still love spreadsheets, so that's still my thing. I like it. I have fun with that. Whenever anybody needs help, they usually come to me. I often just get broken computer parts and people ask me to fix them, and sometimes I can, and it's fun. And that's it. Today, I'm drinking a Larceny small batch wheated bourbon. It's quite tasty. I enjoy it. I'm having a great time. I'm going to send this on over to Rob.
Yeah, stumbling through. So Rob, I got 25
9.
years. Yeah. I got 25 years in psychiatry. I've got 30 years in the military. I am drinking Elijah Craig today. Elijah Craig has a great price point, mid-20s, historically significant, father of all bourbon, and supposedly the guy that developed the idea of charring fresh oak casks, because his casks weren't that fresh. They apparently had fish in them. He was also a reverend, so that just adds to the spice to the story. Go, Keith.
I think that's you.
Yeah, well, I needed the Passover.
Oh, sorry.
From Rob.
It's your turn.
And the fishy oak casket.
It's up to you.
I'm Keith. I go by Steve. Yeah. 24 years as a psychiatrist, 12 years in the military, unfortunately associated with these fools. And I'm reluctantly drinking Bullet bourbon tonight.
Reluctantly.
Happy to be here with my friends and talk about good topics and see what trouble we can't cause with one another.
And Bullet's kind of fascinating bourbon. It used to be low-end, cheap bourbon, and all of a sudden it got really popular.
Yeah. Do you have a book on that? Is there a book about that you can maybe...
Is there like a percentage of how much corn is in the Bullet?
Yeah, what percentage
minimum.
of corn?
Oh, come on, guys. This is Bourbon 101. It's Bourbon 101. Has to be made in America. Doesn't have to be made in Kentucky. Has to be at least 51% corn. Then whatever else you want to throw in there. Wheat, barley, rye. Personally like the rye. And then there's some other rules in terms of its proof, etc. But that's the basics. And I'm sure we'll explore that more as time passes. Let's get on to the...
You could keep them going if you kept it on.
Okay, we'll get on to psychiatry. So let's talk protests. Why not? You know, it's been coming up lately. We've had a number of them in the country.
No Kings.
Yeah, we've had no Kings protests. But I'm going to use this quote here. Why not? We have, you're deep into your delusions when your solution to a housing crisis is riot gear and a press conference. Take it away.
Who said that?
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that. That's a humorous hook.
Well, okay. Well, I missed the humor. I'm going back to something we said last time, which I really have found has legs in my mind, which is fervor is the primary weapon of the disenfranchised, maybe. I think that was it. And it does strike me that when you hold very little in terms of cards, if anyone's ever played the
Wait,
less
can you poker?
poker,
What?
poker,
What is that?
card game.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those
Nobody's
who
ever
are
played
trying,
that.
yeah, those who are not astute at playing, when they have a bad hand, they overplay. And
Mansplain poker some more.
I don't think we need Rob to fumble through poker. You make a
at
good
any
point,
rate,
Rob. You make a good point, though, Rob.
yeah,
You make a
yeah,
good point. Right? When you've got nothing left, you've got base emotion, id, aggression. What do you mean, Dave, by housing crisis and riot gear?
Sorry, I missed.
housing crisis and riot gear. Tie those together for us, because
Oh,
I have
you're
to.
deep in your delusions when your solution to a housing crisis is riot gear and a press conference.
Well, it's not helpful. Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about intellectualization or something along those lines, that's a stretch. I mean, it's giving it grace it doesn't deserve. That's a stretch. It would just seem like the housing is the cover for having the riot gear and the press conference. But yeah, I think it launches into a larger conversation of there is a zeitgeist and we're all part of it that wants this. We can call it, we can say it's about housing. We can say it's about anything, border, immigration, security, whatever. But there's a zeitgeist right now that wants a strong man, strong leader. And I think man is an important noun in that sentence. It's an important object of that sentence. There's just a desire to have a strong person at a strong podium with strong people behind them looking fierce and intimidating. And I think that's where we're at right now. And there's an importance to reckon with that, whether a person may like it, whether they may not. That is where we're at. I just don't see the two as necessarily coupled. I kind of see the whole point as the riot gear and then the press conference.
The strong man. I have my own thoughts, I suppose, on what drives that. But from your perspective, why now? Why? When we engage in psychotherapy, the question is, what brings you in now, as opposed to last week or next week or a month from now? Why do we need a strong man at this point? Why is that part of the zeitgeist?
Yeah, I don't know that we do need. I do believe there is a desire and a comfort level in having one, given what's going on in the world. And there's just a need, regardless of your politics, to idealize whoever the leader is. I go out on a limb and say whoever the father is. It's just important to idealize that figure, even if they're not very good at what they do, or they could be good at what they do. Regardless, it's important to idealize, to have a reduction in your internal psychological crisis. I'm not sure we needed one, but it sure does feel like we need one now. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's not by accident.
And I think there's a book called The Calm Before the Storm Before the Calm. And I can't recall I've got it in my notes somewhere, but the author, I read it maybe 7 years ago. And this author was referencing.
No one cares when you read it.
Right. The author references, no one cares about the book, Wyatt. The author references himself as a futurist, and he spent most of his career in intelligence, specializing in predicting future events. And now he runs some kind of think tank thinking about the future. But basically, he goes backwards in time. He knows history really well, and he predicts the future based on the past. And it's a lovely book. It really is. It lays out this idea, but it identifies these 50-year economic cycles and these 80-year social cycles. And per this book, at least, the 2020s are when both the economic cycle and the social cycle coincide. Historically, they've been off cycle. They have not happened at the same time. Now they're happening at the same time. And we have multiple things going on. We have great social upheaval, changes, movement towards something different that not everyone's comfortable with. And we have significant socioeconomic concerns that we are at a point where many jobs are going to be done by robots, by AI. There's the path forward that when I was a kid, the folks I live around, ask them what are they going to do? They say, well, I'm going to work at the power plant. I'm going to work at the mines. My dad did it. My granddad did it. Well, there is no path forward for their kids. with that same the same trajectory that they had, in which they were able to provide for their family. There's not that path forward. So there's an angst, a significant amount of angst that is just that we're all simmering in, and certainly a strong father figure comes into that.
Yeah, agreed that, well, you weren't saying this, but there's been a scissoring effect between the haves and the have-nots. And that's led to, beginning to lead to a tale of two cities. So we have an internal discord domestically that does make us feel uneasy, does make us feel unsafe. Does that need a strong man? Does that need riot gear? Historically, it's kind of led to that. But when there are existential threats that are kinetic, heavy metal, nuclear potential, then almost regardless of what we feel about our father or the leader, we will rally around that person. And I wonder, David, to your point, if that's the point of the riot gear and the press conference, that there's a leveraging of the scissoring of socioeconomic differences between the low and the high getting higher, which always threatens the incumbent power. But what lets them out is an external threat. And then, understandably, everyone gets distracted and focused on that, and staying alive and staying fed is much more relevant than worrying about are things fair, are things equitable, and then allows a strong leader to have extraordinary powers. I haven't seen it in my lifetime. I think my parents' generation saw some of it, but I think we're beginning to see the edges and the margins of a cycle, to your point, Rob, coming back.
Here's a question. I've been thinking a lot about this and stimulated by this podcast, actually. So we're approaching, the shrink the nation. So the idea being that the nation, in a sense, has a personality structure. It has a psychodynamics that we can apply certain theories or an approach to understand. How much do you think repetition compulsion, and for the audience, that's was granted us by Sigmund Freud, and I realize Freud may not be, he's more the butt of jokes at this point. And to sum Freud up, the problem with men is their penis isn't big enough, and the problem with women is they don't have penises. That is
actually, we could argue about that.
Yeah, well, we could, but that's a dumbed down version of some of the focus of Freud. However, he did certainly give us the first person to give us a language to talk about psychodynamics. And one of the concepts that he personally developed and wrote about was repetition compulsion, which is this tendency for humans to take their formative environment, however they grew up, whatever the trauma, the challenge that they were exposed to or suffered through, and then recreating that over and over in their history. There's an element to me that feels like there is some repetition compulsion happening in national politics and in the state of the nation, which makes me go back to what was the formative environment. So if the United States has a personality, what was that formative environment that personality developed in?
Good question. My own bias, which is going to be filtered through the color of my skin, whatever privileges I did or didn't have growing up, where I grew up, the education I was exposed to, politics at the time, religion at the time. But my take on it, my experience of it, is the zeitgeist is one of staunch liberty from tyranny and revolution when necessary, a real sticking to individuality. But I also get that's a very European-centered view of the founding of the zeitgeist of what became the United States of America. I don't have something on the top of my head of how that leads to, well, maybe I do, but how that leads to what we're seeing now. It feels like a cheapened version, thinking maybe the reaction formation, but I don't know. It feels like a cheapened version of what was at least sold to us in our education as an existential and, John Locke high-minded revolution that took an incredible amount of blood and treasure and defeated the most powerful empire the world had ever seen. Now we are that empire. So I wonder, will that story replay itself with another nation state that is not the United States of America, where they may feel like they're the ones that are justified to have a declaration of independence in a figurative sense.
So
but
I think
it's hard to see. It's hard to see in our common time how that's replaying in a one by one. It's just hard to see that. It almost feels like like a cheapened down V8 version of a good movie, if I'm trying to stretch the metaphor. I
Just a
don't see it
touch.
happening, but just a touch, just a touch.
So I think though you have a frame of reference if you go back to the making of our country, like the birth of it, all the way 250 years, and then you have some issues, or you have to decide, you have to assign some roles though to that, right? Like on what side are you playing? Like who's the king, who's the empire, and who are the people playing the role of the early nation? Because there are some clear, depending on which side you're on, right? There's some issues with that analogy, because if you are on one side, you're certainly not thinking about it that way. On one side, you are putting down the rebellion, and on the other side, you are rising up against it. So it depends on what side you're on. Certainly, when we look at these protests, the more recent ones, there's certainly two sides to this story. And if we're looking at them as they've been happening, what you really see, especially in the more modern sense, is this playing out of almost a reality TV situation where you have two sets of people, two sets of groups who almost want the other side to escalate it so that they can be the publicized victim. They can be that martyr who can say, look, we stood tall in when something bad happened. I mean, that's really it was two sides saying, look, we're the ones who are being victimized here. We're just having peaceful protests. No, we're just defending our people to let them do their jobs. And both of them kind of hoping that the other side would do something to escalate it, which really looked like a reality show. It was just waiting for somebody to throw the damn wine in the face of the other person, so somebody could, so that you had something really good to show the world, to say it wasn't our fault that this escalated, so that everyone else would be on our side. It just hasn't, to that point, from what I can tell, escalated to that. So that's what I'm seeing, is like who's going to be the good guy, who's going to be the bad guy in that situation, who somebody's trying to be. I mean, and depending on what side you're on, you're certainly seeing the other side as being the bad guy. And depending on what you're watching, you're probably going to get that spun. But depending on, you could certainly see it from either side, right? Is it just somebody trying to do their job, or is it somebody just protecting some people?
Something that, as you're talking, I hadn't thought about it, but there is definitely that dynamic, and it's both sides attempting to win the narrative and neither side wanting to back down. We'll say and this is shorthand, but we'll say the side of law and order saying that we're standing up for law and order. We cannot allow lawlessness. Federal officers doing their job have the right to do their job. And then the other side saying that the system is victimizing a group, and we're going to stand up in support of that. Both of those, interestingly, are very American. Very American. They're just different poles. And then it makes me wonder, because, as you flip through the channels, actually no one flips through the channels, however you can or consume your media at this point, different markets, different news portray this radically differently. It's like Bizarro World, actually. It's a shadow of a shadow of, you watch one and you get what's going on. It's just completely to one side. You watch another and it's completely to another side. And there we are, the exhausted middle, trying to make sense of it, and then naturally making opinions based on what we're consuming, which scares me, actually. It scares me that wherever my finger lands when I'm moving through the channels or surfing the web or whatever ends up having an irrevocable effect on my thought process about it.
Yeah, there's this, it's all rage bait on both sides. And when you kind of get the whole story, you realize nobody's right. Nobody's necessarily wrong. I mean, they both have their arguments. And as you said, they're both American arguments. I mean, they're both standing up for the ideals. They just don't agree with each other. And they're just trying to win more likes or what have you, and spinning it as if the other person is just super evil, when what you're seeing is a whole bunch of Americans fighting with one another over a topic that, if they would probably sit down and have a conversation, as if that were a thing anymore, I suppose, right? If they would have that one conversation of like, hey, can we agree on this? They might actually come to some reasonable agreement instead of just saying, you think this? No, because that seems to be the way that they all just kind of go is, well, if they say that, it must be no. If they say that, it must be no. And it's kind of a wild way to run anything, I think, on all sides, right?
But even in the disagreement, it's uniquely American. We're founded on that. We're founded on
Good
the right
point.
to free speech.
Yep.
This argument. So let me,
Yeah.
I'm going to read a quote.
Yeah.
And two things it's going to...
Quote time.
Yeah. Two
By the
two
way,
things,
we will post.
David, can I take a break?
I will find
take
the
a break?
books.
Can I take a break?
I'll find the book you find,
take a break.
and I will post them. I will
All
post
right.
the author.
All right.
I will find the books,
I will
post them.
The author that I was referencing earlier is George Friedman. I found my notes.
It's
They were
George
right in front of
Friedman,
me.
The Storm Before the Calm. Yeah.
Yep. So the storm is...
The Calm Before the Storm, I think.
No, it's The Storm Before the Calm. That's the name of the book. It was a pun. Okay. The storm is essential to clear the way.
Now we're blind.
The storm is essential to clear the way before the calm, because Americans obsessed with the present and the future have difficulty remembering the past. They will all believe that there has never been a time as uncivil and tense as this one. And that's an 8-year-old quote. And here we sitting with that it feels like there's something different about...
That quote's from an 8-year-old person?
From an 8-year-old person? It was an 8-year-old. Yeah. It's a little boy. Georgie, I think he went by.
From an 8-year-old, I'll grant you that. I mean, it's a good point. I mean, it's a lovely point, but it raises another point of human beings by biology don't have long memories. They don't serve us. We have short memories. Just 15 years ago, things were quite different. There was a different zeitgeist, and that's to the point of that quote. Perhaps it's to the point of the quote. Perhaps you'll disagree, Rob. We pay attention to the storm in front of us, and there's power in creating a storm. There's a lot of power if you're able to do that. If you can create a storm, you have a ton of power in terms of the human biology and how our brain focuses on what's quick, what's fast, what's near, what's far. And we all tend to focus on just what's near and what feels most dangerous to us at the moment. To your point, David, of if we got together, right? And I think, Rob, you made a point on the last episode similar to this. There is a splitting. I think what the two of you are talking about, without putting that word to it, there is a splitting, or just for a general explanation, right? It's just a fleshing out, a carving out of those that are good, those that are right, those that are bad, those that are wrong. And it's a very comfortable psychological space to sit in. If you sit in the good space, it's an incredibly intolerable situation to sit in the bad space. And there is such a pressure right now, and I know there has been pressures in earlier times to do it too, but there's such a pressure to do it right now, right? If we were able to come together and talk to people who saw the world a little bit different, the people that see it different from me or different from you, Dave, or different from you, Rob, they're not idiots. They're not wrong. It's almost impossible for someone to be right or wrong in its entirety. But if we could sit and have a conversation, right? And your point, David, of what's the collective something that we can rally around? When we're treating patients, somehow in the room, it always makes sense that, well, your child's well-being, their health, their upbringing, your safety, not being hit, not going to the hospital. We all agree those are good things, right? Somehow we all have alignment around that. There was a time, I don't know how long it lasted, Rob, there's probably a book about it, but there was a time it felt there was alignment around that there is value that we all agree on, regardless of differences of opinions, marginal or large, of the foundational concepts of this American experiment, right? A liberal in the sense of an open-minded, representative, democratic democracy that is projected and executed through a Republican governance with checks and balances of power. To say it in a simpler way, we all follow the rules, and we're reverent and we're deferent to the rules, even when they go against our personal interest. That seems to be at play. I don't know for how long, but that seems to be at play. If we could come and talk with folks that may think different, than whoever you are, but we can align around those things. We may not find our differences are all that large, but right when we silo ourselves and throw stones at the other side and just get angry and split, see them as all bad, then whatever it is that they do, whether it's they change the drapes on their house, right, or what kind of car they drive, or where their kid goes to school, becomes packaged in that all bad environment. And, we've all heard the stories of, gosh, I'm so careful about how I speak now because if I say this or if I reference that, I'm going to be packaged into this all good or all bad category relative, dependent to the person I'm talking to. And I think that's the situation we're in right now. And I think you made a comment the other episode too, Rob, that there were 3 channels where the zeitgeist got their understanding. We don't have that now. It's a challenge. We're never going back. And I don't think David would want us to go back. We're never going back.
He'd have to give up those monitors.
It is a new.
I'd have to give up like 4 of them.
You would. But I think the existential challenge, we're not facing the Nazis in Germany.
What did we say about saying that word?
Planned and bomb us. But an existential threat, at least to, I think, this experiment of these United States of America, is we don't have a common organizing principle of a common understanding. It's gone now. There are no letters, there are no papers, there are no common broadcasts. So kind of like what the 3 of us are doing. We can broadcast in a silo. We hope. Lots of folks listen to it, right? But there was
Personally,
a time.
I hope no one listens to this. It would be protective. So splitting, we've said splitting multiple times. Let me pull this back out to the national level. If splitting is occurring, what is that personality structure that we are nationally at this point?
Well, right. You're setting me up to fall down here. It would go back to a primitive characterological organization. Some would call it a borderline character structure. But I think that's a fair representation of this. Well, it's kind of a split on top of a split, isn't it? I mean, I have my own experience. When I go to folks that I know have a very different view than I have, and we're talking about things we have in common, we get along wonderfully. Talk about common things, I'll agree. But when we go back to our corners, and you plug into your media, it's a mirror of a mirror of a mirror, right? So I don't even know if a primitive it's almost like a schizoid psychotic split of a nation. I don't really even think we know or have trust on what real is, especially if the leader is a shifty. I don't think anybody would argue with that. I mean, some might, but I think most would be like, yeah, it's hard to know what's going to happen with dad day to day, whether I like him or whether I don't. And that's just a basic human psychological need to know that, the house, figuratively, the house is America, that the house is safe when dad's home. You know what I mean, Rob?
Yeah. Lost my train of thought. You threw a lot at me right there. I had something that I wanted to add. Can't remember it. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave because it looks like he wants to say something.
Yeah, I don't. No. So I am going to go at something because I do have something to add. And it builds off of something you started to go into last episode, and something I thought a path you were starting to go down. I thought you were going to go down something that I think Keith was started to allude to, and it's this. And actually, I have a book.
Do you?
And this might be the first and last time that I will have a book. We'll see. Who knows? But working off of the concept of. Or off of actually the abnormal psychological concept of capgras. V.S. Ramachandran wrote the book Phantoms in the Brain and discussed the concept of capgras syndrome, which is essentially when somebody believes that somebody that they love has been replaced by an imposter. And he's a neurologist, and it's a lovely book. Any psychiatrist should read it. Most people should read it. It's a great book. But the reason I think it's so fascinating is that the way it so beautifully describes how people behave online. And it's the way that we treat somebody when the brain doesn't have a way to see them. Whenever you have this severance of that emotional connection to your visual pathway to somebody that you can see, that you love, and that emotional neuron is gone, your brain tries to figure out, well, why does this person look exactly like mom, but I don't feel mom? And what ends up happening is you get capgras, which is where you're now convinced that mom must be replaced by this imposter, and you're convinced it's this alien being who is invaded your life, and they treat them terribly. They treat mom terribly because you just don't have that feeling that it's mom or whoever it is. And it's the same way that people treat another person that they otherwise love when they see them. This is the greatest person ever, but they get online, and all of a sudden on Facebook, you went from it's your sister-in-law, it's your brother-in-law, whatever, and all of a sudden they're online, and I can't stand you. You're the worst person ever because you have this divide in politics or whatever. And it's because your brain doesn't have that way to have that emotional connection to this person anymore, because it's all text. There's no visual connection. There's nothing there. It's just a textual thing.
Now,
and that's it. Yes.
Well, so when you're engaged in psychotherapy, patients come in, they talk about their last week, because that's just what they talk about. It's, I had this happen, I had that happen, my boyfriend, girlfriend said this, that. It's current events. And our role as a psychotherapist is to tie that into the past. So I guess my question is there something endemic to our national character? Because if I go backwards in time, splitting has always been a thing. In fact, it's baked into the cake. We have a two-party system. That two-party system is built to split. That two-party system is built to say, here's reality. Here's my take on reality, and then the other side has a different take on reality. Same situation, completely two different takes. It's good, it's bad, and that's how they have to get space for themselves. So are we talking about something that is a modern affectation? Is this, a pet project of mine is thinking and writing to some degree about what's the impact on technology. And again, I still believe this. I think 50 years from now, they'll look back and this political time frame will be a non-event. It will not be relevant. What will be relevant is that was where you were approaching the singularity. That's when human technology had progressed to the extent that you were getting so close to that point that's often referenced as a singularity, in which we kind of blend with technology and cease to be humans in the traditional sense. AI, the amount of information available to us. So how much of it is a present issue? Because that is something we have to identify in psychotherapy. We have to say, is this a separate issue that's in the now? I think as a psychotherapist, more often than not, could bring it back to the then. And for me, that's where, as you're talking, I'm finding myself thinking, I don't think this is all new stuff for us. I don't think this is a new phenomenon for the United States. I think it's original sin.
I mean,
who was our daddy? It was Britain.
I think
Britain had a horrible narcissism in the time frame which we created. They were the masters of the world. They ruled the world.
I think if you're talking about the desire to group yourself separately from another person and pulling yourself down to the lowest common denominator, yes, that's not new. That's what we all do. We'll always try to do that. We're going to say, what sets me apart from you, or at least what makes me grouped to you. Let's go the military route. If you go into a bar outside of a military base and a fight breaks out and it's a bunch of civilians and military people, maybe you're going to have the military people start fighting the civilians. But if it's a bunch of military people, maybe you're going to have the Marines start fighting the Navy guys. But maybe if there's some Army guys in there, you're going to have the Marines and the Navy guys start fighting the Army guys. You're going to have the lowest common denominator, and you're going to have them group up. And that's how that's going to go. That's not new. That is what's always going to happen. What I'm talking about is the disruption at the brain level of how somebody's neurobiology functions and how they're going to think, and how the internet, or just how that's disrupted, and maybe even in a younger generation is not going to be so disruptive, but how that is being harnessed differently at different parties, or have been better at it in different phases as it's been more or less necessary. But right now, social media has been really, really good at taking advantage of the fact that social media is the ultimate divider, and they have been very, very, very good at separating people down to their single part. You can have brother versus brother very easily on social media if you want, because on social media, your brother is not your brother, because all it is just a name in a chat room. He can be in the room next to you, but it's just a name, and your brain doesn't realize that.
I hear what
Do you
you're
get
saying.
what I mean there? And
I
that's
still think you're full of
that's what
shit.
I'm saying. Yeah, maybe, but
No, you make
time will tell.
You make a valid point. I just from the from that premise,
Phantoms in the brain.
Phantom is in the brain. Please click the link, buy the book. We get a percentage. So
Smash that subscribe button. Hit the like.
God, don't buy the goddamn book. Don't buy the book.
So,
it's a great book. It really is.
So my sense was last time you were defending technology, and now it sounds like you're saying technology is the problem. I believe it is part of the problem. I do believe that. I also believe there's a core issue, a core psychodynamic issue baked into the cake from the beginning, at inception of our nation, the way we were built, what's important to us, how it's playing out in the milieu that we find ourselves now. I believe that, but I do believe technology is part of it. What you've just said is technology is it.
Well, what I'm saying is,
there's a gas station I love to go to. There's a little R2D2 robot that washes the floor. It's adorable.
Exactly.
It's
I guess what I'm saying is how we.
It's like 3 foot high. Very cute. Little face on the screen.
Yeah,
it's got a face.
Hello, I'm washing the floor.
Don't kick
wonderful.
me.
There is a really great sushi restaurant that I like to go to, the conveyor belt sushi, and it's got a robot that'll like walk up and bring you water, and it sings a little song. It's awesome. Technology is something that we will have to adapt to, but our brains, because we're so good at adapting, we will. The problem is that you and I and Keith, we're too old for our brains to fully adapt. It won't be our generation that's going to adapt. We are sort of suffering through the trials and tribulations of it is the issue. The generations after us are going to have a much easier time than us. Where it's a mess now, it probably will get much better later, but we're the ones suffering. As you said, the singularity.
Don't disagree with you, David, that kids are better at it.
They're not scared of it.
It's a challenge. They're not scared of it. It's not stopping. It's a little scary. It's happening so fast. It's quite exponential. Exciting, hope it goes well. But it's not here now as solutions. It's not solving our crisis right now. It's a little bit of an escapism, I'd argue. But to your point, Rob, of the original sin of this nation, which I think there are several, but your point of we're this nation, no matter where you came from, the fabric, the feel, the smell of the nation was imbued with Great Britain, the greatest empire since the Roman Empire. And the Romans conquered Britain much before they conquered the colonies of what became the United States. My pushback on that would be, maybe my hope would be, the founding fathers and mothers saw that and said, well, that's a problem. We have a shot here. Let's not recreate. And we're all rich. We're all entitled. We're all landed. We all have servants and enslaved people. But let's not recreate where we came from. And they created a system that, to your point, there was always two parties, but then a governance around those two parties that forced, what we would call in our work, a compromise position. I remember I had a job some years ago, working with an ex-Army Special Forces guy who was a chief executive of this company, and I was called in to help him and another person they weren't getting along with. And I said, hey, let's find a compromise position here. And he just clicked back quick. Well, that's weak. I'm not doing that. I don't know. Hey, where I come from, that's a sign of strength, right? If you can find the middle ground where you can have the tension and the friction between two parties who see things different, you often can have something that's, if nothing else, executable and at least for now agreed upon. Otherwise, the company, the governance, the nation goes into the tank or in a dumpster in a gutter with old crow. Right? So I think I would like to believe, and I will accept the fairy tale, I'll accept the fantasy. I'd like to believe that the founding concept was, yes, we're going to have people that will probably form up into two teams. That's pretty human nature. Maybe three. One team will have to ally with the other. but the system will force them to come together and find some sort of compromise. And then there'll be an executive final decider over it with, a lot of power, right? For those two bodies to override that executive would take an incredible amount of agreement, which is hard to come by. I'd like to say, like, we haven't changed all that much in hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of years, where people had enough wisdom back in the 1700s to say, yeah, we need some sort of external check and balance on our nature so that we don't devolve into just pure projection and aggression. We raise our hand and we pledge an allegiance, or we swear an oath to a set of rules. And then those rules govern us, even if we don't like them. And yes, we came from Great Britain, a very arrogant place that did a lot of things. But the folks that founded this nation before Great Britain had their parliamentary system on purpose made a system to try to hold those things in check, right? To try to put some reasonable constraints and reins on human nature. And I'd like to believe that's a good thing. And that's something worth collecting around, agreeing around, having a commonness around, even if we disagree on the margins, that is worth keeping. We have a republic, right?
Yeah. And
if we can keep it.
If we can keep it. And I am awestruck actually by the thoughtfulness of our founding fathers and mothers. And I'm struck also by the sense that here's another commonality that I think all of us who've engaged in psychotherapy with patients, crisis points pull them out of their rut. So there's a narrative, and we all have a narrative. We have a narrative that was developed when we were children, and we live that narrative. And something you said earlier, amnesia is the most potent weapon that narrative has. That's how it keeps recreating, because we keep forgetting how we get ourselves in these same situations, how they feel, how they play out, and we do it again because the beginning point feels good, and we get ourselves to the point that doesn't feel good, and then we think, I learned this before, I knew this, and I forgot it. So I think as a nation, the same thing is at play. I think repetition compulsion is a thing, and it is relevant on the national level. And what has always happened is in moments of crisis. And we can go backwards in time, and we can look at the Civil War. We can look at World War II in particular, not so much World War I. I don't know if anyone felt that was an existential situation, but World War II definitely, it felt of it. And in those moments of crisis, we find our better angels. And at this particular juncture in history, as much as a military member who will likely be on the cusp of that, as much as I don't want to do it, as much as I dread losing my soldiers, in the effect that has, that what we really need is an existential crisis. And that will bring us back to our founding principles.
But yeah, do we need one, right? Is it satisfying? Is it cleansing? Yeah.
Cleansing.
Is it best to keep away from an existential crisis, for God's sakes? I don't want to have an existential crisis in my life. Do you?
No, but they keep happening.
In my ideal world, government would keep us from that so I can sleep well at night and worry about what's on the TV. What am I doing this weekend? What are my kids doing? Right?
And when government ceases to protect us
from that, let's have a crisis.
And I'm not inviting one. Yeah, I don't want one. I don't want a true national existential crisis.
Next existential crisis for the nation. It's on you, Rob. We're going to blame you. All right. So if it happens, it's your fault.
I invited it. That's on you. I wanted it.
You jinxed the nation. So it's on you. All right. As fun and dark as that got, we're gonna close this out.
Tell me something fun.
Here's what we're gonna do. I thought, instead of getting ourselves into trouble with any organizations that we are affiliated with and using a public figure for this game, the DSM criteria game, we would take something more culturally appropriate, more apropos, more timely. On July 11th, Superman movie is coming out, directed by James Gunn, and the lead character, Clark Kent. A spoiler alert, so close your ears, everybody.
Yeah,
Clark
if you don't
Kent's
know this.
Alter ego, if you don't know, so close your ears if you don't want, is Superman. And he will be played by David Cornsweet. Yeah.
What?
I know. It's crazy. They're the same guy. You wouldn't even know it.
But he was so handsome.
Does Corn
Hey, no,
Sweat?
they're like the same. David Cornsweet. so dreamy. I don't know what he looks like, but he looks
Rob,
like.
how much corn sweat is in bourbon?
How much corn sweat does it take to make a bourbon?
Oddly enough,
Anyway,
we are drinking corn sweat.
we're drinking some David Corn sweat. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's knowing all that you know about the DC universe, and we'll ignore the Marvel character behind me. Can you break down, since I think Rob's probably pretty good at this. Let's break down Superman. Let's break down Superman and Clark Kent. And this one I think is pretty easy because he's playing two people. I mean, he's hiding in pure daylight. He's an orphan. So what do you think? Break him down. Let's do it for funsies.
Superman is a beloved character to me. So I'm
break it down.
offended.
I don't know. Come on.
I'm deeply offended, actually, at this moment that you're implying that Superman has a personality disorder. I'm half tempted to run out.
He's flying around with his underwear on the outside.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he should.
His mask. The way that he hides from everyone is putting on a pair of glasses and like a curly Q. Yeah, that's his disguise. So
that is it.
What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, what do you think might be going through that Man of Steel?
I mean, it's a little hard, right? Because
what is Keith? We don't need to. Keith, we don't need to know about this. This is for everybody. I don't need to.
We were all raised.
Did you Google David Corn sweat? Is that why you're talking about that?
It's a thing.
I've got him up on the screen right now. He is dreamy.
That dreamy hunk. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dreamy.
We were all expected in some ways, right, to be a Superman. But yeah, right. He's got unlimited power. It was always quite confusing. I had a friend who knew all the statistics of the strength and durability, and Superman was just unlimited. All the other characters were not, right? So he has unlimited power, but he has to work in a limited world. And he seems to have some human empathy, or whatever alien version he has that looks like human empathy. And then he lives in an ice cave, quite cold, quite desolate, very lonely. Wears a cape, underwear on the outside. I'm not sure why. And
manic.
Tries to always rescue a damsel in distress. I mean, I think it is a bind, right, to have unbridled power, but also you want to do good things. I think it's a cautionary tale that in the comic books, and maybe in this movie, Superman somehow prevails and does the good thing. I don't think most people are Supermen. I don't think most people would. I think power like that would undo most of us, and we'd wear our underwear on the outside.
I've always seen Superman as being the ultimate projection of the United States, in this sense that we do have unbridled power. We have the ability to do anything. We are that powerful and that indestructible. But his moral code, his constitution governs him, and much beloved character. There is, if you watch a Superman movie or you think about Superman, there is a different emotional connotation to it than, say, Batman. Batman is dark. Batman has negative impulses. Batman has only the power that he can bring to bear. So they make it and I realize this movie does not feature Batman. It features a Green Lantern with a very interesting haircut. But Superman has always, to me, been our projection of what perfection in a country, in a person is, and that is very powerful, empathic. He cares a great deal. Responsible, again, cares a great deal.
Restrained, maybe.
Restrained, and that's who we want to be. We want to be that guy. We want to be that guy personally, and we want to be that guy nationally. It clearly cuts into something. I mean, it taps into a desire. And, I don't know the statistics on who are Superman fans. I'm going to guess it's mostly men. Predominantly, because
a lot of women. I mean, he's not bad looking.
Well, and he sweats corn. So I mean, I'm in. Corn. I am totally in. 100%. I'll sure.
What do you make? What do you make of the? What do you think is with the alter ego? What's the point of that?
The normalness of him. He is, his alter ego. He's not that, and this, I mean, gosh, this plays into an archetype. This is a Harry Potter-esque archetype where you're a normal person with exceptional abilities that most people can't see, and I think we all want to believe that in ourselves, don't we? That we have something special about us. But when he's in that alter ego, he is just an average dude. Chicks don't dig him. He's clumsy. The bourbon's doing the job. He's clumsy when when in that form. He's average. He's just an average guy. That is exceptional in the right circumstances.
What do you think? I mean, so you have Superman, right? And he is essentially invincible in so many ways. So why even need the alter ego? Like, why need to be plain guy? You know, he has the Fortress of Solitude.
Humbleness has always been an important part of puritanical culture.
Yeah. So he has some sort of like need to be for himself?
No, for us.
For us. But nobody knows. Yeah, it's the fourth wall, right? It's not for him. It's for the viewers. It's the gratification of us that he is so humble that he can just walk around and be plain, even though he doesn't really need to be. Like, he's this super jacked, perfect specimen of a dude who can be clumsy or whatnot.
Yep.
Wearing a pair of glasses. Yeah. Walking around.
We have to give David some alone time.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, but
I understand
his need to be plain and regular.
I'm going to send you a poster of David Cornsweat.
I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be on this wall behind me.
Right behind you. Yep. So you can look at it the entire time that you're doing this podcast.
Let's close this out. Give me an absurd or a serious prescription for America. Somebody. Give me something serious, or Keith, you've been so serious. Give me something serious.
Be serious. I want to be Superman. I want everyone in my life to see me as Superman, but also put together and polite. A prescription.
I feel like,
I think
if you have to be put together for yourself, who is he doing that for? He's Superman. Why does he need to be so put together?
Well, I think
I want to see Superman. Right? Like, you know what would be put together for me?
We're just average
Superman
people,
sitting on his couch when nothing is needed, just watching whatever he wants to watch. And like when something bad has happened, and he's like, "I got this," and he just goes and takes off, and he's just like, "Whatever."
If you've had a kid, and the kid believes that you could.
He doesn't have a kid.
Lift anything in the world. That's so wonderful.
Nobody needs to believe he can do it. He's like, he can literally spin the world backwards and turn back time somehow. Like, he's Superman. There's nothing he can't do. Yeah, it's Superman. They gave him every power for some reason. He is. It's
a lovely primitive movie that's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need an alter ego. They gave him an alter ego for no reason. It's ridiculous. This is why I like Marvel Universe, because Ben Affleck's not in it. Even though I actually, whatever. I like Dunkin' Donuts. All right.
I love that.
See, now we don't have sponsors. It's my bad. That's okay. That one's on me. That one's on me, Rob. That one's on me. Rob, that one's on me. All right.
I'll be pissed.
That one's on me.
Do that. It's
right. Give us a serious.
It's really hard to hate. It's really hard to hate close up. So the more we get to know one another, wherever the one another is, work, social life, doesn't matter. It's hard to hate close up. And that breaks down the primitive psychological barriers that we all have, that we're all prone to. And it forces us to integrate splits and makes us all better, more integrated, healthy people. So it's hard to hate close up. So get to know folks close up. For God's sakes, I don't know, have a bowling league. I don't know. Join a car club. Go drift race. I don't care. But find something that brings you together, that you can collect around something you all enjoy, and we'll realize we're really all the same, right? We're really all the same. So it's hard to hate close up. So it's hard to get off the couch. It's hard to get out of our silos. It's hard to get off of our screens, but get out there and talk to people face to face, like our biology intended us to do. And I think we'll be healthier for it.
I agree. Yeah. The greatest common denominator. Look for, go out and meet people. I like that. Your prescription is to spend time.
Not just meet, right? Yeah, not just meet, but talk.
Talk. Get to know other people.
But you don't know before. beforehand, right?
New
Like,
people.
I don't know who I'm meeting. We could think different. Cool. I hope you do. You'll be a better person for it. So go do it.
What I discovered when I was young in the military, early early in my career, was that a beer or a couple went a long way to making relationships work well, at least having conversations and getting to know people. And if you seem to have, for whatever reason, some negative vibes, bad vibes with somebody, you would grab a beer, get to know somebody that you otherwise didn't. They were in a different workshop, whatever. And all of a sudden, you were cool. You had good vibes. You were getting along. And it was amazing how well that worked. So I agree.
So my prescription is somewhere between beer pong and Greco-Roman wrestling. And really, I'm going to go, if we can get
So I have
side,
to do the absurd one now? All right.
Right. So either side that can team up,
Where do you come from, Rob? Jesus Christ.
Do some beer pong or true ancient Greek Greco-Roman wrestling. Fundamentally comes back to what Keith just said, and it comes back to what I said last time. Get involved locally. We need to connect at the human level, and if we're connected at the human level, lo and behold, we have much more tolerance for the differences in politics. And if you're wrestling naked, you're connected.
Naked wrestling.
It's all upper body strength. Yeah, Greco-Roman. It's all upper body.
Yeah, Greco.
Right. So yeah, it's
beer pong.
Acquainted. So
right.
Maybe
I thought you actually had a game.
It.
You designed a game.
No.
Of naked.
No, I maybe
beer pong, Greco-Roman wrestling. Actually, that could be a thing.
Naked
beer pong Greco-Roman wrestling game.
I'm looking for the vulnerability of nakedness and the intimacy that comes either from imbibing too much alcohol with one another or being engaged in wrestling.
The ping pong. I feel and it's a conversation I think for a later episode. But I'm on the edge of my seat to learn.
Yeah, you'll have a table built. Guys. You'll have a table for this built by the next episode.
Maybe it's possible. Maybe. I've got some stuff on my agenda.
He has a book with instructions.
You have a book. There's a book. You'll have to really reinforce.
Naked Greco-Roman wrestling beer pong. It's Anyway, David, what is yours?
All right. Well, mine. So I guess.
Yeah, you can't slide out of this. You can't put us on the spot and then do nothing.
No, I can't. No, that was we were supposed to have. We have a series. We have an absurd. We have a recap. No, we can have. All right. So my absurd, and I think this will work, but I believe that, and this is always going to come back to politics. I hate to tell you this, but I believe that all legislation will have to be signed in front of the person's caretaker in their formative years. So they have to explain it to that person before they sign any legislation. They have to
mom, grandpa,
explain it to mom, grandpa, whatever. They have to explain it, the reality of it, and the results of.
I had a very different vision in my head.
Yeah.
They will have to bring. They'll have to bring mom, grandma, grandpa, whatever. The person who was the most important formative person in their developmental years. The person who taught them all their morals, ethics, what have you, and they will have to explain to them the legislation they're about to present to and have signed, and the repercussions of
Kent.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. To be a Clark Kent.
You see what I'm saying?
Nice work.
Yeah. That is mine, because I do think that will have quite the impact on. I think that would work. I mean, I think that would change America greatly.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you explain to me, Ma, there, Robbie, why you're taking away whatever healthcare or whatever to why she can't go to nursing home and see what happens. Now, she's racking your knuckles.
The problem there would be that it was my
or why you're taking away her guns. My
great granddad and my great granddad probably would say something like, "Boy, you couldn't beat a soapy pecker." I don't think it would work. I don't.
No, you'd have to explain it to him. You'd have to explain it to him. No, you have to explain it to him.
He has to. It just make you feel like a shithead.
I'm just saying, you'd have to explain it to him in detail. He'd have to understand it, and they'd have to sign off on it. Maybe that's what they'd have to like sign it. They'd be like, "No, that's a good idea," before you could present it and like okay it. Yeah.
He would hit me in my head.
Yeah.
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 You
were
nothing would ever
inadequate in all
happen.
ways.
Anyway. All right.
All right.
So, well, thank you both. Thanks, everyone, for this second test run. May the next time we do this be flawless, better. Every time we'll get a little bit better. The next time, for all those who stuck around, bless you all if you did. Our first episode, just a teaser, is going to be on grandiosity. So all those notes that will inevitably get larger that Rob is just ready, just waiting on.
I had books.
We'll be ready to go. He's got books. Well, 34 books to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The grandiosity. So get ready. And we have our website. Website's up. It's running, right?
It is.
Shrinkthenation.com. We've got socials. We have socials. So go ahead and we will go to your favorite podcast, subscribe, like, do whatever you need to do to download this garbage and listen to it and like us. And if you have terrible things to say, keep it to yourself.
Oh.
Just keep it to yourself. No, keep it to yourself.
Our ego is so fragile.
We have fragile egos.
Fragile.
We have fragile egos.
Right.
If you have lovely things to say them. And thanks to everybody. Thanks to you both. And next time.
Thanks, David. Doing the Lord's work.
We all are. We all are. Next time, gentlemen. Cue the music.
Buddy.
Cue it. Can you hear it? Oh, it's gonna. You hear it? It's rising.
I don't know.
You don't hear it?
Edit that part.
I'm gonna add it in. You're not gonna hear it.
All right. Later.
Next time.